Good morning, y'all. This morning I'm very much bothered, and I think by the end of this video y'all gonna be bothered too. Last night I watched a TikTok and there was this young man, and he said he went into a restaurant and there was an older white man celebrating his birthday with his family, 96 or something like that. And he said that, you know, he congratulated him, happy birthday and all that. And then the white man started to talk to him. And he said there's so many things in his life he regrets. And he began to tell him about how he was a firefighter, you know, when he was working. And he said that back in the 60s and 70s, times were different. And he said it was very common practice, him included, he admitted to this, that there would be burning buildings, burning cars, or burning structures where black people were in there, and they would pretend like they didn't hear their screams and not save them on purpose. And he said, you know, the last time that he did it, he went into a building to go get a baby, a black baby, and he went in, he heard the baby screaming and crying, and he just stood there and came out and said, oh, I couldn't save him. And the young man said, you know, for a second I wanted to pull the plug on his old behind, right? But then he came back and said, wait, of course they did. Of course they did. And it wasn't just him. This was the whole police department for years and years and years. Not just him, but everybody else in the police department. I mean, in the fire department. But like I was saying, he said, of course they did. They all hate us. It don't matter what field they're in. He was like, I knew police, you know, people at the job, in every other area and sector, and in the hospitals. He's like, but you would never think that another human being would let another human being burn to death, hear their screams, and just stand there and let them die. But of course they did. And I don't know if this was this old man's way of kind of like apologizing or coming clean about it to make him feel better. But let me tell y'all something. That made me so, that made me so sick. But I'm not surprised. When there's a group of people that used to have barbecues, cookouts over a hanging families, they would have families of hanging people, black people, and have a barbecue up under their bodies. Kids running around playing, smiling. How could you expect anything more from that? How could you? There's a lack of empathy that just blows my mind. And nobody gets away with anything. So when you see these older people walking around and it's because of all that demonic evil sin that they've done to us in particular in their day. And if anybody knows me, you know that I don't care what color, I really don't. But I'm not gonna be shamed into being quiet about the things that have been done against us from a certain group of people. I'm not gonna be shamed into being quiet about it. Okay? And they're gonna pay for that. They're gonna have to answer to God for that. The same way we had to answer, the same way we getting punished, and the same way all this stuff, the oppression, the slavery, all that has happened to us because of what our forefathers did, they're gonna pay for it. And I think they're starting to realize that, because what's happening is, what I'm noticing is, they're splitting into two. There's one sect of people that realize that it's coming down and I think we're in trouble here. Let me try to smooth this over. Hey, let me be nice to them. Let me not discriminate against them. Let me try to get this hate out of my heart against them. And then there's another group of people that knows what's coming, and they say, let me squeeze tighter. Let me do a little bit more, because they're getting out of control. So you guys understand.
In this video, we take a look at some white people who unconsciously review the horrendous things that they have done to black people. Now, whereas some white people review this accidentally, others also confess it as something that they regret doing. You see, when you do something which is not right and you know within yourself that this is not right, definitely at some point you will regret it. So let's keep watching this video as they review these things. Then we'll come back here and discuss further about it. But before we watch the videos, if you haven't yet liked this video, kindly like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Let's watch the videos together.
Like I said, when war is happening, it's going to be a silent war on us. It already is, but it's going to be more. And I know no one wants to talk about this. No one wants to admit this or even acknowledge it. But them people that's racist against us, God's children, the people that hate us, that have malice in their hearts, that have literally spilled our innocent blood on the ground, have partaken in that, have benefited from it, and have not repented of it, and still do it to this day, they are going to hell. And we don't talk enough about hell anymore. I know back in the day it used to be hellfire and brimstone. Hell still exists, and I don't think people are afraid of hell enough at this point. But they are going to hell. People that have hatred in their hearts, you are akin to a murker. And you know what I mean by murker. You hate your brother, you are akin to a murker. And like I said, that is what keeps me at peace. Because I know one day God is going to make it all right. And this is not just for one race, but they're going to pay for that as a whole, as a race, their forefathers, what they've done. They're going to pay for it. But all of the wicked, all of the evil, all of the people, no matter what color, race they are, that have engaged in wickedness, unrepented wickedness, they will pay for it. God is going to make it all right. And even us that have repented, we still are going to be judged. Everybody will be judged. And it's a scary thought. But I just wanted to tell y'all that because I know that we as black people are very tired. We are tired. And if you think God has not heard our blood spilled on the ground crying out to him the same way Abel's blood cried out to him from the ground, his innocent blood, the same way Cain is marked, those that have spilled our blood, innocent blood, they are marked as well. They are marked as well. God has not changed. He's the same God. And if they have not repented of that, and repenting means asking for forgiveness and turning away from it, we're all going to get let me get away from that. But it's not too much longer now, y'all. And we may never see it in this generation. We may never see it. My generation, even my kids, we don't know. But we do know one thing. God has not changed. He is still the same God. So do not think or believe that all these people that you see walking and running around, riding their bikes, jogging without a care in the world, money, all of that was built on our blood and our bodies, it will be destroyed, and it will be repaid to us. But that's enough of my rant, y'all. We're tired. I have accidentally
befriended people, white people, who are racist against black people, but not racist against me because I'm Hispanic. And I just want to explain why I think they're like that. I know that it's obviously not every white person is racist, you guys, but sadly, here in Texas, I have met people who, once I start hanging out with them and they get comfortable with me, they do say racist things, or things that are just not okay directed towards black people, but they're completely fine with me being Hispanic. A lot of times these are people who, maybe I meet them at work and they hear me translating for like a customer or someone who doesn't speak English, and so they know I speak Spanish, and they find out that I'm Hispanic and everything's fine, and I'm like, oh, like this person is like fun to hang out with. But like I said, they get comfortable with me and then they start saying racist shit. I think the reason they do this is because they romanticize Hispanic culture. So, because me specifically, you guys, I'm Puerto Rican. My mom was born and raised in Puerto Rico. She lived there like the first 20 years of her life until she moved away. And I think they romanticize that specifically because when they think of Puerto Rico, they're like, oh, the beaches, like maybe I should go there next summer on vacation. They think of like West Side Story. They're thinking about like the arroz con habichuelas and the sorullos and the flan and like Prince Royce, Bad Bunny. They're thinking about how, oh, the women are so beautiful, the language is so romantic. It's almost like there's this mystery around it because they don't really know that much. And they're like, oh, like I love Latinos, like I love the culture. And so it's something that they can easily romanticize because there's a lot of things that they like, and it seems almost like this distant, like, oh, Puerto Rico's another country. Even though Puerto Rico is part of the United States, you guys, there are some white people that don't even freaking know that. Like, I remember a few years ago, I was in San Juan because I was visiting my family over there, and I was walking around, and I heard this white lady on the phone, and she was like, I can't talk right now, I'm in another country. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I just can't forget that because she was like older. And I remember turning my head and I was like, girl, like, because like I said, I think some people, they see it as like vacation destination, it's another country. And I also think that these white people that I've known in my life, who end up being racist towards black people, I think they like me because I'm so freaking pale, dude. And so they're like, oh, Kayla's one of us, but she's like kind of spicy. They kind of still see me as one of them. But the thing is, like, if you're going to be racist, just be racist towards everybody. It doesn't make sense to me why you're picking and choosing who you're going to be racist against. And I think the reason that they are comfortable being racist towards black people is because, we see black people everywhere here in the United States. And because of the slave trade, a lot of y'all don't know, specifically where your family is from or, where you're from. You just are like, well, we're just from the United States because sadly, because of all the horrible things that happen, I know that a lot of y'all can't trace back specifically where you were from, And so the romance and the mystery is gone. It's just like, oh, they're just black people, whatever. And, I think it's also envy because they are envious of like your big lips, how, your dark skin, because we see a lot of white people who are obsessed with being tan. And, I think they're also envious of like how you guys are just naturally curvy or strong. And again, you guys, I'm not trying to just trash on white people. It's just that I don't even make white friends anymore here in Texas because this has happened like too many times, honestly, with me, where I'm like, I feel like I just wasted my time like befriending someone because they, like I said, they end up saying racist things about black people when we're alone to me. And I'm like, dude, if you say that about black people, what do you say when I'm not around? Because you know that I'm Hispanic. So for example, with all the things happening with ICE, I'm like, when I'm not there, would you say, oh, they deserve it? Oh, I trust the government. Oh, well, they're probably criminals. Like, what do you say about us when I'm not there? Like, if you're okay being racist towards one group of people, I mean, I have to assume that you're being racist towards me when the time comes or when I'm not there. And, I know this is like a huge rant and I'm not trying to be mean or like be like, I hate white people, but this is literally something that has happened over the course of a couple years, you guys, that it's the same thing happening with me, and I'm just like that, that I've noticed from white people that I will befriend. And that's why I think they do it, because for a long time I didn't get it. I was like, why are you acting like that? And then I was like, oh, okay. I started to connect the dots, but like I said, it's not okay, dude. Like, just don't be racist towards any group of people. You can't pick and choose who you like. Like, that doesn't make sense.
One of the biggest realizations I've had as a Black girl who grew up in predominantly white spaces is the fact that A, a lot of your white friends are actually racist, and B, a lot of your white friends are complicit with racism, benefit from it, or are too comfortable with racism to ever say anything. I started to come to this realization during the BLM protests, and this theory has been even furthered with the ICE raids that are currently happening right now. And this complicitness comes in forms of A, having that racist boyfriend that says the N-word and is like so awful and will absolutely do nothing about it, or B, never standing up for anything, never saying anything. I'm not asking you to be like a civil rights leader, this, that, and the third, but a lot of white people are very, very comfortable with what the benefits are through racism. So they will never, ever say anything. They will continue to have people in their circle that are very, very racist people. I will never forget growing up when I went to the mall with this girl and she told me something. She was like, I'm so happy you're not like the others. And then I asked her, what do you mean by the others? And she was like, other Black people, like always sagging their pants and just like the way they act and just this, that, and the third. I was appalled. And this is somebody I thought was like a really good friend of mine. This is so normal. A lot of white people have such biased beliefs, such stereotypes like ingrained in them. They don't even think twice about it. I find this phenomenon so interesting because it really shows that at the end of the day, a lot of humans are just out for themselves and are just going to be thinking about themselves. They're not going to speak up for you in a room full of people that look like them. That would take lots of guts. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that.
10 things white people say to Black people that are racist, even if they don't realize it. You're so articulate. Why is it racist? It assumes that Black people are generally expected to be less intelligent or incapable of speaking well. Complimenting basic communication feels patronizing and reveals a biased, low expectation. I don't see color. Why is it racist? It erases the lived experiences of Black people, including the discrimination they faced. Ignoring race doesn't solve racism. It ignores its impact. Can I touch your hair? Your hair is so exotic. Why is it racist? Black hair isn't an exhibit for public curiosity. This fetishization reduces a Black person to an object of fascination, ignoring their humanity. Where are you really from? Why is it racist? It implies that Black people can't truly be American, are British, etc., and perpetuates the idea that they don't belong. You're pretty for a Black person. Why is it racist? It generalizes all Black people into a monolithic group based on harmful stereotypes. Black people are individuals, not a hive mind. I have Black friends, so I can't be racist. Why is it racist? Having Black friends doesn't absolve someone of racism, nor does it mean they understand or even respect Black experiences. It often comes off as a deflection rather than addressing someone's problematic behavior. You're not like other Black people. Why is it racist? This is a backhanded insult to the broader Black community, reinforcing negative stereotypes while positioning the individual as an exception. Slavery was a long time ago. Why don't you just get over it? Why is it racist? It dismisses generational trauma and systemic inequalities rooted in slavery and ongoing racism, showing ignorance of history and its ongoing effects. All lives matter. Why is it racist? It dismisses specific struggles Black people face by undermining the purpose of Black Lives Matter to address racial inequality and police brutality. Saying all lives matter ignores these disparities. Comments like these often come from ignorance, not malice, but it doesn't make them less harmful. These statements invalidate, stereotype, and patronize Black people and perpetuate the very biases many of them claim they do not have. It's important to listen, learn, and engage with humility to avoid unintentionally reinforcing racism.
Oh, liberals and Black people just assume that all white people like me are racist, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and they are absolutely right to do that. Do you want to know why? Because a white person will see the color of my skin as another white person and immediately assume that I am a safe spot for casual racist commentary. My roommate had an Uber driver yesterday that he's had a handful of times. But yesterday, on this particular drive back to our house, this Uber driver started making casually racist comments about police brutality being warranted against the Black community. To be clear, that is racism. And mind you, this man has no interest in reading books about political policy within the past 60 years. He has no interest in learning about statistics. He has no interest in learning about systemic racism or systemic issues in general. He has no interest in doing that. He has no interest in learning about how enslaved people were supposed to receive reparations. And I believe it was Andrew Johnson that said we were going to do that, but now we're not going to. And then came Jim Crow and black code laws. He has no idea that a white man with a criminal record is like 10 times more likely to get a callback interview than a black man without a criminal record. Most white people do not care to learn. And so they say racist shit in front of other white people because they assume that our skin color is a safe space for casual racism, not realizing that the government has created the conditions of poverty in which black people live in. That the government has created the conditions in which black people are funneled in and out of the prison system like a revolving door. Most liberals and leftists and black people might think that most white people are racist, and that is completely warranted because most white people will see another white person and feel immediately comfortable spouting casually racist comments as if they're going to get immediate approval for those comments.
I think the real reason that some white people get upset or like don't understand when they see black people in spaces that they're in or black people in positions of authority or advancing and things like that, the reason that they relate it to like, well, it must be like you're getting something that you're not qualified for, like it is racism, but there's another underlying part of that, and it really boils down to the fact that they can't fathom a reality where you advance in life, where you get a position, where you move up at all without stealing something or stepping on somebody or exploiting somebody. They can't, in their brain, they don't have any recall within their collective history of any time period where they've been able to build without stealing or massacring or doing something to somebody else. So like when they see another group of people, whether that be black people or POC, in positions that they feel like, well, no, that's my position. And when they see them, they think that, well, you couldn't have got it any other way besides taking it from somebody and like stealing it. There's no way you actually worked for it, because in their history and present day, they don't have, even within the country itself, standing up the United States, they don't have any like precedent of like existing, like moving up, like building without taking something from somebody, without stealing. Like they have no creativity in their mind. Well, not even creativity, they have no recall and lack the imagination to imagine that being a possibility. So when they see a black person or a POC in spaces and things like that, it's got to be the DEI thing, even though it don't make sense. That's the only thing they have in their brain. It's like the only way you able to make it, the only way I know you make it in this world is by stealing stuff and like, you know, exploiting and like taking things away from people that belong to them. Take things, and that's it. That's all they got. So yeah, it's the racism, of course, but it's also, there's another part of that psychologically where they just don't have the recall. There's no precedent set yet, and they refuse, I don't know, to set a precedent where they can, you know, advance, evolve without exploiting or stealing from other people across the globe and right next door, you know. So that's it. They just can't understand in their brain and just don't connect. Like, how were you able to make it as a black person? And then to look at a black person and know like black people's history of subjugation and oppression, and then see you actually moving, they're like, no, there's absolutely no how you fucking doing that. Blows their brain. So they had to come up with something, and the only thing they come up is what they were able to do since the beginning of days. And by the way, yes, that is stealing from other people, taking all the things, culture, resources, land. That's it. That's all they have, unfortunately for them, because eventually you keep resting on the fact you got to steal while other people making advancements on their own, pulling their own selves up by the bootstraps, even without fucking boots, making the boots themselves. Come a day where you don't even know how to make boots. You don't know how to do anything. Okay, y'all have a great day.
You say you don't hate blacks. What do you feel about them, and what do you want done with them?
When time comes, God will send them back to their homeland, Africa. I have nothing against them.
Why will God send them to Africa?
Because all the races will go back to their homeland.
Well, where do whites go? This used to belong to.
Whites stay here, New Jerusalem, America.
Excuse me, whites stay in New Jersey?
New Jerusalem, the United States, New Jerusalem.
Okay, but the Native Americans, which we used to call Indians, they were here first. We have to get out.
No.
No, and
So when are you leaving?
I'm not leaving. Wait, listen.
Okay, I'll listen.
In the Bible, it says in Genesis 2, in the chapter of 2, in Genesis, it says that be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. Subdue it is to rule over, and he was talking to us Israelites, the Adamites, from Adam.
What?
He was talking to Adam.
Okay, well,
We're from Adam.
what has that? Wait a sec. What has that got to do with the fact that if we're returning to where we're from, I gotta tell you that if you go back far enough in your family, you're not from the United States of America. Okay, you're probably.
I don't care, but white Christian
wait a second.
America.
You said everybody's got to go back.
It's a promised land. God gave it to us.
Okay, so, God gave it.
That's how it goes.
Excuse me.
If you don't like it, then
Excuse me. Wait. God gave the United States of America
it's
to
a
us.
promised land.
Wait, is this in the Bible? The Bible was written before 1776.
Yeah.
Yes, and it does tell the future.
So how did God know that there was no United States of America? How could God have given? How in the Bible could it say that God?
God prophesies future in the Bible.
Go ahead.
Well, for one, I am a Baptist child, and for one, who do y'all think y'all coming to this state and just saying stuff about our white people here? Us black people were the first people here. Cause I'm Indian, and I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Y'all saying y'all gonna kill somebody? I dare y'all come and touch some of them. Cause all of us is one color. Cause when the lights go off, all of us are black.
God bless you.
We don't have any allies. Foundational Black Americans, descendants of American chattel slavery, freedmen, Aboriginal Americans. Whatever name you go by, understand this. We stand alone. This didn't just start in 2025. This has been brewing for a long time, simmering beneath the surface, under the hashtags, under the unity banners, behind the people of color signs. We've been watching. We've been taking notes. And now it's time to speak it plain. They told us we were all in this together. People of color, minorities, non-white solidarity, but time after time, when our backs were against the wall, where were they? Let's go back. A few years ago, Asian students sued Harvard, said affirmative action was hurting them, that we were being given some unfair advantage, that our presence meant their absence. Never mind the numbers, never mind the history, never mind the truth. They blamed us, put a target on us, said the playing field was no longer fair because we were finally allowed on it. But here's what they didn't see coming. Now they're not getting in either. Student visas are getting denied, embassies tightening up, enrollment falling. Now they're asking what happened. But the truth is, it started when you thought we were the problem. Then there's reparations, our fight, our demand, our justice. And yet, some of the loudest voices pushing against it, Black immigrants. People who look like us, but don't stand with us. Mona David said it herself. We chose to come here. Reparations aren't for us. That may be true, but what she really meant was, they're not for you. You, the Black American. You, the descendant of the enslaved. You, the one who built this country and never left. Then you had the Latino Trump voters. Loud, proud, waving flags, casting ballots, thinking the policies wouldn't touch them, that the deportations were for somebody else, that they could climb up by pushing others down. And now they're getting deported too. Now they're panicking, saying you're next. But that's the part they never understood. We're not next. We're not in line. We're not part of the immigration system. We've been here. We are not visitors. We are not guests. We are not recent arrivals. We are the soil. We are the sacrifice. We are the seed and the storm. And that's exactly what makes them uncomfortable. Because no matter how close they try to get to whiteness, no matter how many degrees they get, how many flags they wave, how many times they call us lazy or ungrateful, we are still the center of the American story. The ones they imitate, the ones they fear, the ones they hope to erase. So now the question is, Were you ever really standing with us? Or were you just hoping we'd stay at the bottom while you climbed over our backs? Because it's giving not allyship, not unity, not justice. It's giving anti-Black American, not anti-racist, not anti-oppression, just anti-us.
Welcome back. In this video, we took a look at some of the things that some white people have done to black people that they review accidentally. Now, whereas some of these white people confess this as a form of something that they regret, others also were revealing it accidentally without even knowing that they are saying the quiet part out loud. Now, there are a lot of things that some white people have done to black people that they know within themselves that these things are not right, but they did it without even caring or without even giving a hoot. Now, let's take, for instance, the confession of this firefighter who made this confession that during his time of service, in his old age, that was when he made this confession, that during his time when he was in active service, they could set up fire in a place where black people are in order for the fire to engovern them and unalive them. Why would you do something like this? This is so despicable. Now, he says also that there was a particular incident that he had to save a baby, and upon getting to the scene, he realized that the baby was a black baby and not a white baby. And because it was a black baby, he decided to leave the black baby in the fire so that the fire will engulf this baby. Why would you be so inhumane to the point that when you see your fellow human being going through something difficult, that you can save that person? You have been employed by the state to even save such people. Because of the color of the person's skin, you leave the person over there to die. And this is very bad. I don't know how come some people can be so inhumane to the extent that they see their race above every single race on earth, to the extent that as a firefighter you will leave someone there because of the color of the person's skin. Now, everything that we do in this universe will definitely come back to us one day or the other. So when old age caught up with him, that is when he is regretting and confessing all these things. So I believe that definitely anything that anyone has done, that person will one way or the other face the consequence of whatever thing that he or she has done. Let me know what you also think about all these in the comment section below. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family on other social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button down here. Click on the subscribe button. Click also on the notification bell. And I'd like to see you again in my next video.